Good morning. Saturday morning this week. The sun is out. It is really, really sunny today, actually. And that's a change because we've had a whole week of rain. It just rained constantly. Very green and lush, which is unusual for Australia, but the water, the deluge, the constant rain has just been, gets me down. This was not the reason I came to Australia. And it is cold. I mean, look, today is probably almost, it's over 20, but it's cold. I mean, I'm sat in my dining room. I'm wearing layers because it's colder in here than what it is outside. I have my hand warmers in my pocket and I hate it. Absolutely detest it. I do need to go somewhere that's hot all year round. My hands really do get the coldest. And I know since I've lost weight, so I've lost 30 kilo. And since I've lost that weight, I really, really suffered with the cold. I mean, beforehand, I used to be fine, to be honest with you. In fact, probably the opposite. I used to be a very warm blooded person, and now I'm quite a cold blooded person. So I don't know why that is. According to Dr. Google, it could be a number of things, and I should really ignore Dr. Google because he tells me things I really don't want to hear. It always gives me worst case scenarios, and that's not good. And yeah, it's yeah, I've got to behave. Stop with Dr. Google. Apparently, my heart's not pumping the blood around my body as it used to, and it's maybe where I'm getting old and I don't know, slowing down, or my heart's not working the best way it should. It's all in there. I'm still taking it all in, and I'm just thinking, you have health anxiety. Stop Googling your symptoms. I guess I'm always going to. It's always going to happen. Bye. My father's got health anxiety as well. It's a family trait, obviously. And I think a lot of that, if I look at it logically, mum suffered with her health for many, many years. And in the last sort of few years, she lost both her legs. She was exceedingly ill. And I think my father especially sort of watched mum suffer. And I think he's kind of taken on board all that suffering himself. And he's now got that anxiety where health is concerned equally. And I think that's probably where mine stems from as well. It's not the it's not good, but it's just something we both got. My father suffers with anxiety. I also suffer with anxiety. IBS, that's the same. It is. It's kind of a bane of my life. And actually, this week, my IBS has been horrendous, which is why I've had to buy Buscopan. Luckily, they sell it here, which I didn't know until I spoke to the chemist, and that does help. IBS for me can be a number of things. It can be cod. It can be something I've eaten. It can be anxiety related. It can be a number of different things. There's a lot of change going on at the moment with me, not in the physical sense, but in my daily life. And I've had I've had job interview, all different things that are contributing to my current state of mind. I'm not a person who likes change, to be honest with you. I am a Taurus. I'm a homebody, and I like things. I just like things to stay as they are on an even keel. No dramas. You know, no highs, no lows. A little bit odds, really, because when I was younger, the drama, oh my lord. And to be honest, that drama, a lot of it was my responsibility as well. I used to be a right drama queen. I really did. And these days, gosh, no drama. I just don't want it. Really don't want it. Luckily, we're living the quiet life in Australia. we don't have, there's nothing to rock the boat as such. There's no, you know, there's no influences. There's no people knocking on your door every 5 minutes. It's just very, very chilled and relaxed, and that is perfect. So I've been keeping abreast of the news from the UK this week, as I always do, and I do like to talk a little bit about that. And it was quite shocking to see those children, those three young girls who were killed, knifed to death, and the other children, I think it was 10, they said on the news, that were also injured in hospital and suffering because of this knife attack. Horrendous. I mean, look, it takes me back to my childhood and how idyllic really it was. There was no problems, there was no issues. We went out to, the sun went down, and life was, it was easy to that extent. Whether things have changed over the years or not, I don't know. I never heard of these type of things, when I was a lad in the 70s. Everything seemed a lot more, a bit like my life now, a bit more calm, and you didn't hear of such violent acts. I'm sure they happened, you know, but when you hear about young kids getting knifed, murdered, and we're still not given a reason for that. They've not said why this has happened. It just shocks you to your core. These little kids have their whole lives ahead of them. Now, when I was younger, I think in the, when was it, 2006, I believe, I was training to be a mentor and advocate for kids. And it was quite a harrowing period, really, because the training involved was quite stressful and anxiety inducing. And you do find out that there are bad people in the world. Kids themselves are not bad, they're not inherently bad. It's influences, it's the way they're brought up, it's the environment they live in, it's the world around them, the violent games, the TV, the horrible violent television, which incidentally I ban in this house, which sounds odd. I cannot abide violence in any shape or form. I hate it, and I will not have it on my television. Now I know people get off on this kind of TV, movies, whatever. I don't. I find it shocking, and I don't understand how people get enjoyment from it. I actually read an article recently about red flags, psychopathic red flags, where you enjoy watching programs on true crime. I don't know how anyone could do that. I just don't know how anyone gets off on it. Uh, yeah. If you know, tell me. Really. I like a good mystery. I enjoy that. I got Murder on the Orient Express is about my limit where violence is concerned. I just, no. And when you hear of the violence that happened in Southport in the UK, it really does bring tears to your eyes. I think, personally, Britain itself certainly has had its day. You can see the problems bubbling. And I know when we left, problems were coming to the surface. Nasty people, horrible, nasty people, whether they be right wing, left wing, psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic, whatever. There seems to be more of these people about. And to an extent in Australia, you are sheltered from that. We don't get that extreme violence, really. There has been cases, and there was one recently on the eastern states where people were attacked. But in Britain, it seems to happen regularly, all the time. And successive governments have done nothing about it, nothing at all. It's the same in the United States with the gun crime. The government there continues to ignore the fact that wrong-uns have guns. They will not legislate to prevent those sort of people having access to killing machines. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. You know, we have one chance in life, at life. We can do things for the better. We can change the world. We can live in harmony with our environment and the other people. Or we can cause havoc, wreak havoc, and cause pain to other people. And all I see, whether it's, you know, wars in Ukraine or the Middle East, it's just murder and violence. I'm a gay man. I'm a target. I have been a target, and I have been attacked in the past for who I am. I avoid going to the Middle East. You know, this comes from a person, you know, me and my other half have travelled widely and extensively, but I avoid the Middle East with a passion. I'd love to see that part of the world, but it scares me to death being there, you know? The violence, the capital punishment for no other reason except your sexuality. Women not being allowed to drive a car. I read a case about a woman who was raped, and she was the one who was punished. Once again, in the Middle East. I can't tell you what country because I can't remember. But there's so much wrong in this world. There really is. I'm old. I would have loved to have been a politician. Certainly not ever going to happen now. And there's so much I would have changed or wanted to change. And I know all politicians, whether it's the new Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer in the UK or Anthony Albanese here, they all get into office with good intentions, and you know they want to change the world. Does it happen? No. Like how? There's been very few prime ministers in the UK, at least, who have changed the course of history. Margaret Thatcher was one, and love her or loathe her, she was a fantastic leader. She did change the course of history. Her, Ronald Reagan, Mikhail Gorbachev, they changed the course of history. I think I was talking to someone online recently about that, and you know, people were sort of saying how, you know, terrible these people were, and actually their politics, I didn't always agree with their politics, but as leaders they were the best we'd probably ever had. I read an article about Ronald Reagan actually, who actually hated nuclear weapons, and he was the one, along with Gorbachev and Thatcher, who, you know, began the process of reducing the amount of weapons in the world. And look where that's gone now. We just do not have the leaders we had to deal with the atrocities that are happening at the moment. That is really, really sad. I'm sounding really downbeat, actually. I am downbeat about the course of the world. You know, I'm 53. I don't have kids to worry about. I do worry about other kids and other members of my family, but I'm not leaving a legacy behind to that extent. So what happens to me, and all these material things that I have around me, it doesn't matter. But what happens to the world really does matter for future generations. And the hope is, you know, the world will exist, and it won't have been obliterated by wars and global warming, etc., etc. So I've had quite a philosophical week, really. You can tell I've been worrying because I've got a zit. I've gone from war to a zit. Look, I'm getting zits for one reason. It's where I'm run down. I worry incessantly. The weather's getting me down. It's freezing cold, and it happens. I've also got a big one on my back as well. So I know I'm run down. That's what happens. The other half's got a cold. I've just had a cold. I just got over it. So it's that time of year. But these tiny, small issues are nothing compared to what other people are going through, you know? And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, be safe, be happy, and above all, be good, be kind, and yeah, don't be nasty. Be a good person. Ciao.